Ocon claimed a totally out-of-the-blue first F1 victory with Alpine after crashing in on a chaotic Hungarian Grand Prix as Lewis Hamilton raced back from last to third to reclaim the title lead from Max Verstappen. Verstappen finished only 10th after picking up big damage to his Red Bull in a multi-car turn 1 incident in damp conditions when Valtteri Bottas lost control of his Mercedes and triggered all manner of carnage. Bottas slammed into the back of Lando Norris' McLaren, which was then shunted into the side of Verstappen. The out-of-control Mercedes also crashed into Sergio Perez, with the other Red Bull out on the spot. Hamilton had held the lead from pole, but after a red flag to clear out scattered broken cars and debris of turn 1, Mercedes then suddenly found themselves all alone on the grid for the restart. When Hamilton continued to the grid on his intermediate tyres, the rest of the pack pitted behind him for dry tyres. It created the barely believable sight of Hamilton taking a restart on his own before the rest of the pack rejoined from pits on the correct tyres, given the improving conditions. Swiftly realising his error, Mercedes pitting the world champion at the end of the restart, that be dropped from the lead to 14th place. With the order dramatically shuffled after the astonishing opening laps, either side of the red flag, with 6 drivers dropping out, Alpine's 24-year-old Frenchman Esteban Ocon suddenly found himself in the lead of the grid from the 8th on the grid. Impressively, despite his near total of inexperience of F1 front running, Ocon did not put a wheel out of line, despite being under big pressure all race long. That was being applied by 4-time champion Sebastian Vettel in the Aston Martin, who had started 10th. The German chased Ocon all the way, but had to settle for second place, having followed in and around DRS range for the whole race. Wild moments had an overjoyed Ocon, who had once previously finished on the podium in F1. We've had some difficult moments for this season, but we're back where we belong. Sebastian put me under big pressure, but we managed to keep him off, so it's a great moment. After successfully undercutting Verstappen at his second visit to the pits, Hamilton raced back through the field impressively and eventually moved into third, passing Fernando Alonso after a long battle featuring several wheel-to-wheel dices, and then Ferrari's Carlos Sainz. Sainz was fourth with Alonso fifth in the second Alpine. George Russell, meanwhile, finally scored his first points in the Williams in ninth, finishing ahead of the wounded Verstappen. Teammate Latifi opened his F1 account entirely in 8th, having run third on the grid from 18th. The 2 car points finished the Williams make them Williams' first points since 2019. Bottas, meanwhile, has been given a 5-place grid penalty for his role in the carnage on lap 1. The Hungarian weekend had been bathed in glorious warm sunshine until Sunday. Rain had fallen in the morning at the circuit before light showers returned in the hour before the race as the teams prepared on the grid, creating a greasy track surface for the race start. All the drivers started on intermediate tyres as a result. From Mercedes front row lockout, Hamilton got away well, but Bottas was almost immediately overtaken by third place Verstappen. The Finn was then passed on either side by Norris in the McLaren and Perez in the other Red Bull. That's when things started to go horribly wrong for Bottas on the brakes and several other luckless rivals, sliding straight into the back of Norris and then collecting Perez on the outside. The impact also pushed the McLaren to hefty impact with Verstappen too. Bottas and Perez retired immediately, with Norris also forced out too before the restart to end his impressive 100% run this season. Verstappen was able to continue but dropped to 13th, although the red flag did allow Red Bull to make running repairs to his car and get it race ready, but it was far from peak performance. He ran with half a car, the entire right-hand side of the barge wall was missing, said Christian Horner after the race. He probably had less downforce than Mick Schumacher in the Haas. That's brutal for us, but the team did well to get the car back out there. They nailed the fastest pit stop. Max fought for that 1 point, and that could prove vital at the end of the year. In similar but separate lap 1 instance, Lance Stroll careered into Charles Leclerc's Ferrari and took both out of the race. It meant 5 drivers, quarter of the grid, had already retired before the restart. Here we go, let's run through the final classification. Esteban Ocon, of course, taking the win. Just an absolutely incredible result, and for them and Vettel in second, it's huge for the Constructors' title as they continue to battle each other. Hamilton in third, I do think he will still be slightly disappointed with that. They definitely had the win on the table, and also I hope he gets well soon because he was suffering from dizziness on the podium. And then Sainz in fourth. Yeah, it's a decent result for him, but I do think he thinks he could have gotten in the mix with Ocon and Vettel. Alonso in fifth. My guy just proved how good he is in that fight with Hamilton. But I don't know if he'll be disappointed not to finish a bit higher. Gasly and Tsunoda, I know there was a bit of frustration on team radio, but that's a great result for them. And the same can be said for the Williams, finally getting the points on the board. Verstappen and tenth, obviously not ideal, but for them it was really just about getting the points on the board. Then was Raikkonen, a decent performance from him. In the chaos, I think Alfa Romeo, they will be disappointed to not get points. Same goes for Ricciardo and Schumacher. Yeah, Ricciardo just didn't have the pace. Schumacher did put himself out there, decent performance from him. And then obviously all of the people there who retired kind of got screwed over, quite frankly, really, by Bottas and Stroll. No doubt it's their faults, and it's gutting for Stroll as well, because he's normally the wet weather master. So yeah, a huge shame for all of them. Guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, give me a false comment down, and follow me on Twitter, link in the description below for daily F1 news, and subscribe to my channel, screen around. I would greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.